Hey everybody, it's Rykard here again, back with another black and white Pokemon analysis. Today, we're going to be discussing the celestial body Pokemon known as Gochiruzeru. So let's get started by taking a look at its typing, abilities, and stats. So first off, this Pokemon is a mono-psychic type, meaning that it has standard psychic type weaknesses and resistances. As for its abilities, it only gets two, the first of which is known as Frisk, which is a pretty cool ability that makes it so that you can see what item your opponent is holding when you switch in Gochiruzeru. This could be very useful in a lot of situations, especially if you're guessing on what your opponent is holding if it hasn't been blatantly obviously revealed. Like, for example, the difference between your opponent holding a choice scarf or a choice specs or band is a really important thing to know in a lot of situations so that you can know if you will be able to outspeed it or something like that. So this ability really is mainly used for getting information, which is always helpful in battles. As for its last ability and its Dreamworld ability, it is known as Shadow Tag, which is a famous ability that Wobbuffet also shares, and also the Dreamworld ability of Shandera. And what it does is it makes it so that your opponent is trapped and cannot switch out. And seeing as Wobbuffet was banned because of this ability, I'm just going to be going on the premise that Shadow Tag will be banned in general as an ability, so I'm not going to be making any sets in this video that make use of Shadow Tag because of this fact. As for its stats, it has 70 HP coupled with 95 defense and 110 special defense, which is actually really good defenses. Its HP obviously isn't the highest it could be, but 95 physical defense and 110 special defense means that this Pokemon can be very effective on the defensive side. As for its attacking stats, it has 55 physical attack, which really isn't that great, and this Pokemon also doesn't learn too many physical attacking moves. As for its special attack, though, it's at a very high 95, which is very usable, and this Pokemon learns plenty of special attacking moves to make use of that high special attack stat. And then lastly, its speed is 65, meaning that it isn't the best speed in the world, but it could mean that this Pokemon could be very useful on a Trick Room team, or it just means that this Pokemon really isn't going to be meant to sweep your opponent in any way possible. But overall, this Pokemon definitely is a good combination of defense and power. So with that, let's get started by taking a look at a few sets for this Pokemon. So for this first set, it's going to be kind of like a dual screening lead-ish set. So we're going to give Gochiruzeru a modest nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack. And then we're going to be making use of the ability Frisk, which is actually very useful in a lead situation because it can be very obvious, or what your opponent is going to do could be very obvious by whatever item they're holding. For example, if they're holding some kind of choiced item, you can know you're either going to be tricked it or they're going to just U-turn out. So that is very useful to know in a lead situation. But as for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into HP to max out that stat, 4 for defense to give you 1 more point into that stat, and then 252 EVs into your special attack to max out your special attack. As for the item, you could either be using Light Clay as a way to allow the screens you set up to stay in effect for longer, or Leftovers to allow Gochiruzeru to survive a little bit longer in battle by having your HP be recovered a little bit at the end of every turn. As for the moves, obviously the first two are the most important, being Light Screen and Reflect, because they will be set up in order to increase the defenses of your team and allow you to take more hits than you normally would be able to. The next move, though, is a fairly unused move, at least in the previous generations, known as Future Sight, which actually got a power boost, meaning that it is at 100 base power now, and also it is a psychic type move as opposed to being typeless in the previous generation. But it's a great move because not a lot of people use it, and it can be very useful in predicting switches if your opponent knows when it's going to hit, because it hits, I believe, on the third turn after it's used. So you could obviously predict a switch into something that could take it better than whatever is out in the field and then switch into an appropriate counter. So that's always useful, but otherwise, with max special attack, Future Sight is going to be doing a ton of damage to anything that receives or is on the receiving end of the attack. And then lastly, if you are up against a special attacking lead, Mirror Coat can be a great way to pretty much take it out if it tries to attack Gochiruzeru and you survive. So that is also a plus, but basically the set is meant to set up double screens and a future sight in order to deal damage to anything and also to increase the defenses of your Pokemon by the screens you're setting up. Up next, we have my favorite of the three sets we're going to have in this video because it's just a complete beast of a set, and you'll see why. But first, we're going to give Gochiruzeru a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense and lower its physical attack. Again, we're going to be using Frisk, and for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into HP, 252 into defense, and 4 into special attack. With this EV spread, you'll have max HP and then max physical defense because of the Bold Nature, and then one more EV into special attack just cuz. As to the item, we're going to be using Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. As for the moveset, Gochiruzeru is going to be making use of Sub-Calm Minding, and because of your ridiculously high physical defense, because we're maxing it out, after one Calm Mind and behind a sub, you probably will not be able to have your sub broken by the majority of things that are attacking you, which is ridiculously awesome. Normally, Pokemon that have or that use like a sub Calm Minding set don't really have the physical defense to back up the special defensive boosts they're getting from Calm Mind, but Gochiruzeru does, which means it's really, really useful in this kind of situation. As for the attacking moves, though, you're either going to be making use of Psycho Shock or Shadow Ball for one of the move slots. Psycho Shock will be stab, and it will also allow you to hurt Pokemon that are very high on the special defense end, but not on the physical defense end, since Psycho Shock is a special attacking move that hits physically. On the other hand, Shadow Ball would be used as a way to give you better type coverage than Psycho Shock because you're going to be using along with Hidden Power Fighting. Shadow Ball and Hidden Power Fighting obviously gives you unresisted stab coverage, which is great, but Psycho Shock probably is more useful in the set just because it allows you to hit things for more damage than Shadow Ball would be able to because it hits on the physical side, and also because it's a stab move. But if you do use the Psycho Shock and Hidden Power Fighting combination, just be aware of the fact that you will be unable to hurt Spiritomb or Sableye. So that is always unfortunate, but that just comes with the territory. But other than that, this Pokemon will have incredibly high physical defense and special attack after a few Calm Minds, meaning that it can be a very powerful threat. And behind a sub, this Pokemon will be very difficult to take down, and I absolutely love this set because of that. Lastly, we have a pretty unique set to Gochiruzeru, and it makes use of a lot of different things that it's able to do. So first, we're again going to give it a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its physical attack, and using the ability Frisk over Shadow Tag because I assume that Shadow Tag will be banned at some point. As for the EVs, again, we're going to be maxing out HP with 252 EVs into that stat, but for the remainder of those EVs, 128 are going to be put into physical defense, and the other 128 are going to be put into special defense, giving you very well-rounded defenses. And again, Leftovers will be the item of choice for this set. As for the moves, this one's going to be kind of like a sabotaging, para-flinching confusion set. But we're going to use Substitute as a way to get behind a safe wall and hopefully make it so that your opponent can't break it because of your bulk in the defense and physical defensive area and max HP. Sorry, special defense and physical defense area and max HP. And then with that, we're going to be making use of Flatter as a way to confuse your opponent, Thunder Wave as a way to paralyze your opponent, and Dark Pulse as a way to flinch your opponent. So with these three moves working in combination, you're giving your opponent a very slim chance of being able to attack you because of the fact that Confusion makes it so that your opponent obviously will either hit itself or attack you, Thunder Wave makes it so that they can be paralyzed completely, and flinching also makes it so that they can't hit you either. Flatter, though, does have the added side effect of increasing your opponent's special attack by one stage, so that's something to be cautious of as you're using it. It's similar to Swagger in the sense that it increases your opponent's attacks while confusing it. But Flatter is better because Gochiruzeru has higher special defense, and it's only one stage as opposed to two stages with Swagger. But when your opponent is hopefully being either flinched or hitting itself in confusion, Substitute will come in great use because of the fact that you'll be able to set it up without it being broken on the turn that it's set up. And with Dark Pulse working in order to help flinch things, that is also beneficial to the set. Now, I know this Pokemon isn't the fastest in the world, so there's probably not a lot of things that Dark Pulse will be able to flinch effectively, but it's just something to go along with the set. Other than that, you'd probably want to be using like Psychic or Psycho Shock as a main stab move to use along with the Para Confusion. But other than that, this set is pretty much straightforward in what it does and pretty unique to Gochiruzeru. But that's about it for this video, so I hope you guys think this Pokemon's pretty cool. I do too. I love the second set, as I said before, and I think it can be very useful in battles. But that's it, so take care guys, and goodbye.